Being humbled doesn't mean that you were on some high horse and, you're a narcissist. We're human beings. Humbled means your ego. You could also call it an ego death, okay, which is what I experienced. And it had to happen. We get into ego, we get into self-will, we get into stubbornness, we get into fixated on, why isn't this working? Where is this happening? Why don't I have this now? And this like ugly neediness, and for it has to happen in my timing and in my way. And that is not gonna fucking work. And I understand that's fear, because you're thinking, if the money came in right now, the clients came in right now, this happened right now, I found my love of my life right now, I lost the weight right now, if all this shit happened right now, I would feel so much better. It would be temporary. Overthinking is not a character flaw. Even being stuck and mentally frozen isn't either. It's a biological response to uncertainty, pressure, and identity shifting. In this third episode of the 2026 Glow Up Protocol, I'm teaching you how to stop fighting your brain and start working with it so you can finally experience mental clarity, calm focus, and confident decision making in 2026. This is especially for high achieving entrepreneurs, my fellow crazies, spiritually minded leaders, and anyone who feels mentally exhausted from trying to figure everything the fuck out. Let's go. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to grow your bank account, your business, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. I was the most excited, I would say, in planning out this 2026 Glow Up Protocol for you with the brain. And even the being is another one, because I've done some advanced things to manage the crazy brain. And I was forced to in 2025 because I was going through my quantum leap, and truly it was hell. It was my second, I would say, hardest year, perhaps, in my life. And what comes with that is the most growth. The harder of time that you're going through, the more shit that is happening, the compound effect of it all. You're feeling the physical symptoms, the mental symptoms, the life symptoms. That's because your greatest quantum jump is on the other side of it. But it's so easy to lose sight that that's what's happening, because you can feel so isolated and so alone, and you're so depleted. And some of you I know are still feeling that right now as you're listening to this, and you're going, shit, I don't want a repeat of 2025. I wanted to walk into this new year feeling abundant, feeling clear, feeling productive. And then you're putting all this pressure and force on yourself, which is the opposite of what I want you to do. And I have stats and facts, of course, to back this up on why that is not going to serve you. Also, reminder, okay, we are still in the year of the snake. So that lunar calendar does not start until mid-February, where we go into the year of the horse. So you are in your final shedding period. And what happens in a final shedding period? Well, think about if you've ever gone to lose weight. What is the hardest amount of weight to lose? The last few pounds is always the hardest. What is the hardest part in a marathon? It's not the first third. You have energy going on. For some people, it's a little bit of the middle, but really it's the end of that race. It's slogging it out. And that is part of what is going on here. So I felt like that was important to remind you of if you were listening to this, obviously, before mid-January. A 2022 neurometabolic study found that the brain's prefrontal cortex uses up to 20% more glucose during indecision and rumination than during focused execution. My fellow overthinkers, overanalyzers. Overthinking is literally a high energy state. This is why you feel mentally wiped out even when you did nothing all day. Your brain is not tired from work. It's tired from internal debate. This is why mental clarity feels like relief more so than motivation. And your brain reads uncertainty the same way it reads physical pain. So there's a functional MRI research from the University College in London showed that anticipating an uncertain outcome activates the same neural pain that circuits as actually experiencing physical pain. So you going into uncertainty, going after something new, having a quantum leap, shifting into a new identity, doing a pivot in your business, starting a business, leaving a familiar person in your life, familiar beliefs, familiar habits, entering into the new, your brain is reading that as physical pain. It shows up as being dangerous. It shows up as being daunting. It shows up as resistance in your nervous system. So if you are experiencing tight joints, you're feeling really achy, obviously physical pain, mental pain is going to make you feel tired. That's all part of this. So when you're saying things like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life or my business right now, your brain is not being dramatic. Your nervous system is registering real threat signals. So overthinking is not a weakness. It's your brain trying to escape discomfort as it's experiencing danger. It's figuring it out. It's where I go to. And I had a long time mentor of mine in my abuse recovery program that said to me when I was first starting it, because I'd get stuck on the loop. I wanted to figure it out. But why? But why is this happening? And I get caught in this loop. And she would say, figuring it out is not a step to healing. It doesn't matter. We want to figure it out because we want to make sense of it. Because if we make sense of something and we have this exact concrete black and white answer, then it won't feel as dangerous. So we'll feel okay. It's all coming out of the ego. And it's all just burning, burning, burning more energy and keeping you in the loop of feeling mentally fried and exhausted. Okay. During identity change, the brain temporarily loses access to reward. This is going to be especially true for my fellow crazies who are neurodivergent, ADHD, complex PTSD like myself. Neuroscience research on self concept updating shows that when the brain is forced to reevaluate who you are, who you're becoming, it suppresses dopamine signaling by up to 30% to prevent premature decision making while the new identity is integrating. You are in an integration period. You could be on the other side of the timeline jump like I am right now, but there's still an integration period going on. And when we try to push ourselves through it and go, why aren't you doing more? And what's wrong with you? And we start berating ourselves. Now we're delaying the integration from it all cementing in. During growth, your brain literally pulls pleasure and certainty offline. So when you say stuff like, I don't feel excited by things that used to motivate me, I don't trust the way I used to make money, I feel foggy, I feel disconnected from my old goals, that's not failure. That is the brain buffering. Like just like you see when a computer used to buffer, it doesn't happen as much anymore. It can happen though if you're watching like streaming videos on Netflix and you're watching it buffer and then you just like stare at it because you think that's going to make it go faster. That's what's happening. The brain is buffering during an identity upgrade. This is why pressure never creates clarity. Regulation does. And I'm not going to give you any basic shiz here. And I think you know that, but we have a lot of new listeners to the show. Welcome to our special part of the airways. I'm so happy to have you. And if you would do me a beautiful favor in showing the abundance and practicing the law of reciprocity and manifestation. If you love the series, if you love the show, if you appreciate this fresh and honest approach and you feel so heard, seen, and understood here, take 30 seconds and write a written review of the podcast. If you're an Apple Podcast listener and you can go to ChatGPT or Google and it'll tell you how to do it. It takes 30 seconds, tap the 5 stars and write a review. I would so appreciate that. I have a goal of getting to at least 2,000 reviews, so I would love that. And if you're a Spotify listener, tap the 5 stars, write a comment, reply to the episode. You can't do a written review yet. And if you're watching on Project Me TV on YouTube, be sure you're subscribing and share the show, comment on the show. I would so appreciate it. You know, when our brains are doing this and you are quantum leaping, we first have to start with the stuff that you have to stop doing. That is the first order of business. And I already shared some of those things with you. Putting that pressure on yourself, taking the bat out and beating yourself up. Why am I so far behind? Comparing to other people. It's normal to do all that. I can do all those things too because you don't want to feel this way. You want to be sharp. You want to be on point. You want to be productive. You want things to happen. But if you are truly going through a quantum jump, an identity shift, you are being productive. Sometimes, and when I'm saying this to you, I'm reminding myself of it too. Sometimes rest is the exact recalibration you need. Sometimes rest is the most productive thing you need. By practicing easy does it. One thing at a time, not 50 at a time. You will come back online. Your spark will come back in your brain. I know it's scary. You feel like it's never going to stop buffering because it's gone on so long. Now, I need to say this. I'm clearly not a medical professional. So a lot of these signs and symptoms I'm sharing, if you've had them a long time, I you should seek medical help to make sure you rule something out. Obviously, I'm not Dr. Tiff here, okay? Although I can play one if someone requests, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, Lord. So when we sit there and try to really push ourselves, all you're doing is further dysregulating your nervous system. This is something I have to be very careful of myself. Some people's response to doing new things, being on the other side of a quantum leap, having a big jump in your life, is that they freeze, right? It's that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. A lot of people do. They get frozen in inaction. Their brains convince them that they're confused and they don't know what to do. And I can't do anything until I know what to do. And it's all a shim sham to paralyze you. Because the reality is, if you don't know what to do, if it's in the business and money world, you can come into the posse membership. You can apply to work with me privately, which this is the last time for my exclusive 2-month private business coaching program that I'll be taking applications as we prepare for my once a year big launch of my signature program, Selling with Soul. You can access that application by swiping up. It's in the show notes. It's in the description here on YouTube. This is for new entrepreneurs starting from scratch. And this is also for established business owners wanting to scale to the high 6, 7, and 8 figures. We use the same application. It's completely customizable to you, where we are building your offers, repackaging your offers. We are tweaking, refining your messaging and your systems in order for it to be a match for what it is you want to do with your business and grow your business and the money you want to make with your business, but also, and even equally as important, that it's sustainable for you. And everyone is different. And if you guys are familiar with human design, I'm a projector, which is very rare, which basically means like we don't really want to work or do anything. We need lots of downtime. I'm highly sensitive. I'm an introvert. I need to have a lot of downtime. If I don't, and I keep slogging and I keep pushing and I keep forcing, I can do it for a short period of time, but it really backfires and I get hit in every area of my life. And a lot of you are being called, my established entrepreneurs, to restructure how you go about things. Because let me tell you something, that's not real wealth. All right. I've been a broke ass. I've been rich and I've been wealthy. I'm wealthy now. But rich is I've got money, but I don't really enjoy what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. I'm fried, I'm burnt out, I'm exhausted. And that's not how it needs to be, okay? And the areas in your life that you're really uncomfortable around, that you've had to do a lot of shedding around, that's what you're being called to take action on. That's what you're being called to step forward on. But your brain in this mode is scanning for danger, and it's going to try to claw you back from you having a quantum leap. And that's why this stuff is so important, what I'm sharing with you in this glow up protocol. Because if you do not do anything in order to be on the offense of this, it's going to take you out. It's going to hold you back. It's going to stop your quantum jump it can stop it for years where you're getting in your own way around the whole thing. Like you can cock block the quantum jump. And I don't want to see that for any of you. So, some things that I applied in 2025. And I truly believe I went through this quantum jump first, even before some of my friends, before many of you guys. Some of you guys I've noticed in my posse membership, there's a few of you that are interestingly on the same timeline jump as me. But most people I'm a little further ahead, which is why I started sharing all these videos that keep going viral on TikTok, on Instagram, and my podcast. So you know you're not alone, and so I can help you best navigate. And because I can refer back to the biggest quantum jump of my life, which I have a before and after episode on the podcast that you'll absolutely love. And that is my biggest one. But that was like 2015, 16, 17, right? It's not as resonant because it's not right now. It's not as even energetically as potent. And I believe I went through that in 2025 so I could help guide you through this because we don't have like 72 quantum jumps in our lifetime. Okay. You can have smaller ones, but truly, I feel just based on the comments I've seen, people applying to work with me, people in my posse membership, which I am giving for, and I think I might have said 5 in the last episode, and I meant to say 7. The first 7 people who join my ProjectME Posse business and money coaching membership, where we do weekly live trainings, where you're getting clear, actionable guidance. You're having a support system of fellow crazies, and you get access to me pretty much on a weekly basis live to ask me your questions. And it's like $3.33 a day. And if you do the annual option, it's like $2 and something a day. It's an absolute no brainer and a compliment to any of my programs that I have. Because you need to have that sustainable support where you feel seen, where you feel understood, where you feel safe, where we can talk about this stuff. Like you need business therapy on top of actual strategy, because doing it on your own and being in your head and being in self-will is the thing that's preventing your jump. And so the first 7 people who choose the annual option, I am going to gift you. This is a secret offer, okay? It's not on the actual sales page in the sign up page. I will gift you Coach TIFF AI. Now, keep in mind, only people who've had access to it were people who've taken a program and paid in full, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to develop this over 3 years. You get all of the updates. And there's, hundreds of people, incredible results and testimonials and people talking about it inside the posse. It saves you a minimum of 50% of your time on content, on emails, on doing videos, on having things executed in your business. Like you won't need to have a VA. This replaces it. And it's not even a VA. This is me using my emotional based sales techniques and my high conversion techniques applied to everything in there and for your mental spirals and for your money growth. So we know the date and time of who's done the annual membership, and then we'll make sure that you get the Coach TIFF AI, which you don't have to spend any money for you to use that on your end. Okay. We made sure We made sure of that, and you can use it right inside ChatGPT, which even if you use another AI, that's fine, but you can only do it with one. And so we picked like the mother load of it. Go to projectmewithtiffany.com/Project Me Posse. Swipe up. Direct link is in the show notes. Also, you can go into the description on YouTube and, make a move to set you up so you feel safer. So you have a container, whether it's working with me privately, coming into my group coaching, or it's like an in-person support group even. I need you to do that because when you feel safe, when you feel you have somewhere to go where you can be honest and you're going to get some direction and there's going to be people who give a shit that hold space, what happens with your nervous system? Your nervous system calms down. This allows the integration of your quantum leap to happen, and then your brain comes back online. But continuing to say nonsense of, I will do this once I feel better. I'll do this once my brain is regrouped and I'm productive again. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. And I bet you it's happening to you right now. And let me know if I'm calling you out. I'm doing it with love. And it's nothing that I haven't fucking done before, okay? Where every day is Groundhog's Day. You're hoping you'll feel better tomorrow. You hoping you'll feel better after the weekend, and then you rest, and you're hoping you're going to feel better because you got a massage. You're hoping you're going to feel better because you talked to a friend. You're hoping you're going to feel better, and then you don't. And it's not lifting. It's like fog that is not lifting. And then it starts getting fucking scary because you're like, I need this shit to lift. I've got goals. I've got money to make. I've got a business to run. I have responsibilities. And you try caffeine. Maybe you've even gone back to caffeine. And that's not even cutting it. Okay? It's not going to. You are being pulled to do something different to get fucking support. And you could sit here and go, oh, well, of course you're saying that because, you want me to sign up. First of all, my private coaching, I only take 4 people at a time. All right. So like we have plenty of applications. So that's not it. And with the Posse membership, do you really think for $100 a month that I'm gonna be spinning some shit over here? I don't think so. There's a reason why I have consistent repeat buyers and people buy from me again and again and again and again. I serve the special sauce and I serve it with love. And when you do that, people are going to come back. People are going to refer people. And this is exactly what I show you how to do in what you're wanting to create your business around or in your existing business. But a lot of you have gotten whacked around, as did I, and it's fucked you up. And now your strategy is to wait until it lifts. And maybe someone's given you that advice. And stop fucking listening to it. Okay? But the black and white thinking is, okay, so the opposite is I have to just like force and push myself and make myself, because there's people out there saying that. No, that is a total fucking backfire. So here is exactly what I did I'm talking the depths of the low, okay? I'm talking like TIFF was crawling and I have people who work for me, I pay that like they're dependent on me for what they make. I mean, I have 2 8-figure businesses. Like it's no joke. And I have a pretty, even though I'm not like some insane spender, I have a pretty strong overhead because I have a team. And now some would say, and would have looked at in 2025, and you might have done this too. You might be doing this now. Well, I know I need additional support. I know I need help, but I don't have the same amount of money coming in that I did, or I can do that once I have money coming in. And listen, I'm not talking to the 0.02% of you that are like listening and facing homelessness. Okay. I'm talking about the rest of you that have the cash, that have room on the credit card, that can be resourceful, that can get a business loan, that can figure out a way to make money. Because saving your way to having money, that is not a wealth plan. That's not going to work. That's some bullshit that I feel like governments have taught people, and it only keeps them stuck. No, what has to happen is you need to call in the troops. You need higher level support, because if you don't, Nothing's going to happen or it's going to take way longer. And in that time that it's taking longer, that you're offline, that you're confused, that like you don't know which direction to go in, that you're not really fully showing up or fully showing up in the best energy and you know it, that is costing you sales. That is costing you visibility in terms of views. That's costing you new clients. That is costing you in your own sanity and your own bandwidth. And you have to look at it like that. So even though 2025, it felt very scary for me to invest more money because we just had so much wildness going on in the world. And I have a lot of investments, in particular stocks, and the stock market was so whack. And so that was even scary for me, right? Because it was like, yes, I've millions in the bank. And some of you could go, well, God, like, what do you have to worry about? Well, you know what? It's a much longer and more painful fall to fall from being on top of a lot of cash. And I'm not being some privileged motherfucker saying, oh, it's so hard being rich. No, it's fucking miserable being poor. Okay. So, no, I'm not saying that, but it comes up with different shit in the nervous system. It brings up other stuff because you've gotten accustomed to a lifestyle. You've got accustomed to certain things and luxuries, and it feels good. And the last thing you want to do is go backwards. And then it's like a fucking ego hit and all sorts of stuff that goes in there. So I had to call in the troops. I had to make sure that I had the best team in place, and there were people that had to shed, that had to go. And I'm going through this with some of my clients right now where it's like, it's time to let this person go because you know why? They're not on your new timeline. They were on the timeline before and they can't come with you. You're on a train and they need to be let off at the stop, personally and professionally. And these people can be nice people who could have greatly fucking helped you before. Okay. I had people who were of great help to me until they weren't. And then it's time to let them go. Holding on to things, people, places, things, beliefs, systems, programs, jobs, clients that are dragging you and you fucking know it. Oh, I don't know if I should do this. Should I do this? Should I? No, 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 no. That's just fear in disguise. And you holding off from doing what you need to do because maybe, it's an uncomfortable conversation or something you have to that you do. But you know what? Do you want an uncomfortable conversation or do you want to fuck yourself? It's really up to you. And you've got to own up to that. And I had a tendency in my old identity, this was shed this past year, of holding on to people long past their expiration date, personally and professionally, and making excuses for them, especially if I cared about them. And you want to know what? These people that we can care so much about with our big overgiving hearts. It's funny, the ones that are not on this next part of the journey, they don't care about you like you thought that they did. You probably thought they cared about you on the same level you cared about them. And it's very hurtful. And sometimes we avoid these conversations of shedding people because then you see the truth that not a big deal for them. No biggie. And what will happen if you don't shed, which is also what happened to me in 2025 multiple times, the universe will do the shedding for you. And it'll be chaotic, it'll be sudden, it'll be shocking, and it sucks. And you know why it does that? To wake us the fuck up for your new identity where you're going to be proactive and not reactive about it. You have to pay the price in order for that to truly create a new neural pathway in your brain, just like with a little kid, okay? Let's say a little kid touches the stove or, takes a bite of pizza and it's really hot. They didn't blow on it, they didn't wait. They have to learn that because now it was so painful and it was so shocking. Now they know not to do that versus you saying 1,000 times, don't eat that yet, honey, get away from the stove. It's just it's part of it. We do the same thing as adults, except we have so much going on in our brains and our ego is so developed that we get in there and gaslight the fuck out of ourselves, which keeps us stuck in this insanity. So we have to allow the shedding. I want to focus on what I did that stopped cock blocking my quantum jump. There were months of 2025 I was doing it. I wasn't aware I was in a quantum jump for a part of it. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I knew something was up. And I knew God, the universe, my spiritual committee wanted me to learn something, but I knew it was different. I felt very different in my body, energetically, in my brain, but like we had a lot of shit going on in 2025. I was like, is this my response? I live in LA to the LA fires. Is this my response to everything going on in the world? Because, I'm an empath and highly sensitive, and I work with people all day long, and all of the people I'm working with are upset. I'm holding a lot of space for people. And, maybe it's just my response to that. And then I realized when I went to go cancel my summer European trip that I do every year. That's like my lug. I was going to cancel it. And it was my brain was literally, and it wasn't me. It wasn't my higher self, but I didn't realize it because our egos are that clever and cunning. It was my ego going, you need to cancel it. You look at all the suffering in the world that's fucked up for you to go. You need to be here. You don't know what could happen in the world with like the stock market, and you need to do the da 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 da. And you haven't gotten enough done this year, and you've been kind of messy, and you can't go. Basically, punishing myself. I don't deserve to go. Thankfully, I have a team of people I surround myself with, of guardrails and buffers to make sure I don't fucking go off the edge. And my coach caught it, my therapist caught it, and I immediately realized it right away. Like, holy shit. It's like, no, you're going on the fucking trip. That is exactly what I needed to do, was to go on the trip. I needed to check out to check back in. And when I say check out, I'm not sitting here giving you guys permission to just disappear from your business and cause a problem. Okay. My God, Chubbs is going nuts over this dog he doesn't like. If you're watching on YouTube, my ring light almost like crashed and burned. Anyway, so you can't just like disappear. And those of you who have other responsibilities, you can't either. But that's black and white thinking. That's your ego talking to you right now, going, oh, must be nice, Tiff. I can't just go and like go to Lake Como, Italy for 3 weeks. Oh, well, you don't know. Like, I have babies at home and blah, 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 blah. Well, isn't it funny? I never said that you have to do it that way. I never said I have built this. I have built both of my businesses so that I can go somewhere for a month if I want. Right? I've structured it this way, which is, if that's a lifestyle you desire, that's how we build it for you too. And I get to do that. But there were still emails going out. That's when I launched the Walk into Wealth series and guided money journal. And if you want that, that is my New Year's gift to you. And you can go to projectmewithtiffany.com/wealthy, projectmewithtiffany.com/wealthy. And that resource is also inside of the show notes too. So I even had a podcast scheduled, but I took a social media break. I needed to check back in. And my situation got so high alert that it ended up having to be that way. I wasn't on the offense of it. I was on the defense of it. Some of you are being forced into it because you got sick. And that happened to me right after Thanksgiving. And it wasn't something insane, but I knew. I woke up the next day feeling like shit, and I was fine the day before. And yeah, I could say, oh, there's something going around. Sure, there can also be something going around. It's not black and white. It can be and, right? It's not either or, but also the timing of it. The timing of it is I was doing my final shedding. And when do we get our best divine guidance? When do we get our downloads? It's during periods of rest, of solace, of quiet, of introspection, where the noise isn't happening. So you need to clear space for yourself. And if you come up with resistance and excuses, that's your fucking ego. Then you need to ask people to help you out so you can have some space. And everyone's space looks different. Maybe you need an hour, an hour a night to take an abundance bath. And that's what you need. And for however many weeks. And maybe you do have to pay in order to get that. Well, that's going to be well worth your money, because what is the cost of you staying where you're at? That is not going to work. So give yourself that space, give yourself that intentional reprieve, and don't try to force it like, oh, well, my time being spent in this silence and this solace, it has to be productive and I have to get the answer and the answer's not coming to me. That's your ego again. That's your alarm system going off because it feels dangerous. And that's going to happen. It's going to happen initially because your nervous system is so jacked and cracked. Okay. So just know that. Even knowing that is having the awareness of it is helpful. And then I want you to acknowledge it. You're not going to yell back at this inner bully ego of yours. It'll just be louder. And you're not going to outsmart it either. Because it's like a sociopath or narcissist in your brain that knows you better than anyone. So don't even bother. It's a waste of energy. I hear you. I know you're concerned. I know you're trying to protect me. Thank you. And we're going to experiment with this now. We're going to try this for today. We're going to try this on for today. And you might have to say it 72 times in a day, but you need to fucking do it. And give yourself that space. And the downloads, and don't have this attachment to the download or getting the sign or whatever. That is blocking you from getting the downloads and the sign. And I understand, because you give yourself that space and you're like, okay, like nothing's changed. I'm still exhausted. My brain's still foggy. I still don't know what I'm doing. What the fuck? When is it coming? That's your ego again, scanning for danger. We need to give it space. We need to have some breathing room. You've strangled your inner guide. It's been strangled. It's been neglected. It's been abandoned. And you've got to give it time to come out of its shell and to feel safe to do that. What is going to speed that up? Like I said, being in a safe community that is action oriented, but not action in a force push way. And that's my posse membership. Highest level way to work with me is my exclusive 2-month private business coaching program. And if that's what you need, there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't know why I feel I need to say it. I've noticed so many people get embarrassed when I have gotten on an application call with them, and they're high performing entrepreneurs. They have they have a big audience. Maybe they're like a business consultant or do marketing services, or even people who are manifestation coaches or do mindset work, or my therapists and medical professionals. And they feel embarrassed, like, I should know better. I should be able to do this, like the shoulds. What you're being called, part of what you're being called to do in your identity shift is to get the support that you need and stop being so fucking self-reliant and stop the shoulds. No, you're not. You're supposed to have that guidance and help. You can't see what you can't see. You can't see the holes in your business. Just like when you listen to a friend and you know what the issue is in their life and their relationship, and you don't say anything because they've not asked you, but it's like glaringly obvious to you, and it's not obvious to them. Okay? Like, that's what's going on with you. You can't see it, and your ego's tricking you to keep you fucking trapped. It's using money, it's using time, it's using energy, it's using your own profession and expertise. And it's in your ego to be embarrassed, to feel any sense of shame in order to have guidance. That is obviously not coming from a higher source, because that doesn't even make sense. I mean, Jesus had help. You know what I mean? Had a lot of help. It's just another trap. So I enlisted in more help. Where do you need more support? Or where do you need higher level support, different support, higher touch support? Where does that work? Maybe you've stopped giving yourself permission to get the support because, oh, I've not made my money back or whatever. What I don't want to spend the money right now. Then okay, then don't. But what's your plan on getting through to the other side? You're just going to sit and swirl in it, and maybe some of you need to be in pain for even longer before you move. And I don't wish that for you, but some of you have a very high pain tolerance, which I know it comes from trauma, and I wish you didn't. I do too. But it's far, far less now because once you have the support in your life, whether it's a therapist, it's a healer, it's a coach, it's a guide, it's a community, it's someone helping you execute things in your personal life and your business, and it's the right people. Oh, it feels so much lighter, and it lets you have that space for your brain to come back on. So I hired up. I went next level and I was very humble about it. And I asked people, including my clients, for referrals. And there was part of me that felt some type of way about that. Like, oh, you're going to ask your clients or you're going to ask these people like for referrals. Like, you've been an entrepreneur for 18 years. You don't know who to hire, where to hire, like you need help with that. Like, that's fucked up. Okay. That's bullshit. That's my ego. Like, I'm always looking for amazing people to be on my team. There's even a saying that I learned from my first executive business mentor who is worth now $150 million. And it's always be hiring. Always be hiring. Even if you don't, you'll fucking make a position for the right person. Believe me, because that is going to help you grow and get there so much faster while lightening the load for you. So always be hiring. Second thing that you're going to do, and I'm wanting to give you some big, some, so to speak, bigger things to do. Big moves get big results. But so do a compound effect of little ones too. But you do need to have a combination of both, okay? Just look at it like a workout. You do some smaller muscle moves and then you do big muscle moves, and they're all important in their own way. So the next thing I had to do was I was being called to strengthen my relationship with source. When you're in that much self-will and that much ego and that much fear, you're being called to strengthen your relationship with a higher power, whatever that is for you, your spiritual committee, your angels. And even though I am highly spiritual, I am a woman of God and all of those things, that relationship wasn't getting the nurturing and attention. So what happens in a relationship when it's not getting the nurturing and attention and you're phoning it in? Do you think that relationship is going to be doing well and it's going to be in good shape? How do you think that's working? Well, some of you have a broken relationship, a hurting relationship with source, with spirit. So I put it as my number one priority before anything else. It went source, source, spirit, God, number one. And then me, whatever I needed to do to regulate my nervous system and feel safe and supported to go through this quantum jump during it, and safe to go through to the other side. Otherwise, I knew it wasn't going to happen. And then the third thing was, it goes without saying, like the small circle of high priority people and animals in my life and my clients and my business. That's the order it went in. So with source, what does that look like? And I had to try on different things. Okay. Like I love a ritual. I love tactile. I'm not a big like meditator. So, I have my guided meditations. The Walk into Wealth series is a guided walking meditation. So I did my own walk into wealth series. It's that good. I did my own abundance and shower guided manifestation, which you guys are sleeping on that. And you get that when you join the posse membership. It's elite. And it sounds like, oh, it's just some silly thing. Oh no. And everyone in there who's done it will attest to that. It's actually, they're probably my best guided manifestations that I've ever done. So I needed to have a practice. What we prioritize, what we spend our time, energy, and money on grows. And what we are trying to get away with is what corrupts the entire ecosystem in your life in every way, financially, your health, your brain, your sanity, all of it. And so another thing I did, and these are little things, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see. I got this ring and it's hard to it won't focus in on it, but it's a gold ring and I'm sure it's like gold plated. And on the top it's faith and then there's a line and there's fear. Faith over fear, and then on the other hand, you can see it's a cool like cross ring. I need to have physical reminders and representation on my body, on post it notes, everywhere possible for me to remind myself and for that to get cemented into my brain that everything is about source. Everything comes from source. Everything comes through source, and that I am being divinely guided and protected at all times, even when I'm in pain, even when I'm suffering, even when it sucks. I know that I'm being pruned and repositioned for something so much better beyond my wildest imagination. But I have to have a lot of reminders in order to counteract the insanity and the pummeling my ego tries to give me. So, what are some things that you can do? Is it like I have my 90-day guided abundance journal? You also get that inside the posse too. And that's very helpful because it's like, it's very simple, right? This doesn't have to take like 25 minutes even. It's a ritual that you're doing to ground yourself every day. Some people go and stand outside and just breathe and have the sun hit their face. I did that too. So try on different things that work where you're intentionally spending time with the relationship you want to strengthen with source. You're not going to be able to get away with anything else. And you'll see very, very quickly how you exhale, how it calms you, how you feel even a little bit lighter and lighter and lighter. And you're giving yourself a dose of medicine that feels so good going down and in your system. But it has to start with you. You have to give it and get out of the resistance of doing that. The third thing is being humble. You're being humbled. There's no other way to say it. I got a big ass humble pie, not a slice of humble pie, a big dose of humble pie. Being humbled doesn't mean that you were on some high horse and, you're a narcissist. We're human beings. Humbled means your ego. You could also call it an ego death, okay, which is what I experienced. And it had to happen. We get into ego, we get into self-will, we get into stubbornness, we get into fixated on why isn't this working? Where is this happening? Why don't I have this now? And this like ugly neediness, and for it has to happen, it has to happen in my timing and in my way. And that is not going to fucking work. And I understand that's fear because you're thinking, if the money came in right now, the clients came in right now, this happened right now, I found my love of my life right now, I lost the weight right now, if all this shit happened right now, I would feel so much better. It would be temporary. I used to do this all the fucking time before I really started doing the inner work and deeper spiritual work. It would just change. It would be about my body and losing weight. Then it would switch to how much money. Then it would switch to how I'm making money. Then it would switch to energy. Then it would switch to friends. Then it would switch to, it just fucking moves around. You want to know why? Because it's a God-shaped hole. That's why. It's an inside job, and you're looking to fill an inside job with external shit, and it will never work. because that's not what's going to fill the hole. That's why it's in the first priority. And that's why you're having an ego death. You know, some of you have bought into a lot of fantasy marketing and have bought programs, joined programs, listened to people that made it sound like, oh, you know, you just do boop, da, boop, de boop, de boop, and you make $10,000 a month. And then you tried stuff on your own and it wasn't working. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, now it's not going to work for me because it's working for all these people. And what's wrong with me? And you go into some whole thing about it. And if you're someone who you've had a lot of things work, but you're wanting to scale and you're wanting to, you know, have your podcast be at the top of the charts. Like, I mean, my point is, I went through this and I got into this ego, gross comparison bullshit. And not, I don't really go into imposter syndrome because I have a strong belief that I know what's up in the areas I know what's up in. I do believe in myself. It was more like, what the fuck? Like, I know how good my stuff is. Why have I not like really exploded? Like, why isn't my podcast where Mel Robbins is? You know, like I know what I deliver. And then the ego comes in because I'm wanting it on my timing. And then we'll just go, oh, it's because of this. It's because you don't have a fancy studio. It's because you come on your podcast and you don't have your hair done and you're wearing your fucking gym clothes and you're not da da da. I mean, and then it comes in and really attacks you. And that's all shit. That's all ego bullshit. And because I was believing that if I had the show at that level and I'm having like Spotify and Netflix and all these people coming to me wanting to buy my show, like how what happened for Alex Cooper and Call Her Daddy, like for, you know, 60 million, even 10 million, well then I would be good. Then I'd have what I wanted. Then it'd be proof. And it would feel amazing temporarily. And then it would switch to something else. And that isn't going to happen for me. My next level, the quantum leap, that's not going to happen for me until I had shed what I needed to shed and learned what I needed to learn and had the ego death and disconnect from the timing and disconnect from the neediness. That's the shit that had to be shed. That's why it's so painful. It's your own shit and your own resistance to maybe even investing at a bigger level in yourself, you know, and taking out a business loan and really calling yourself out on like, I need to pay for accountability, even though I should do this, this, and this. I need to pay for accountability or it's not going to get done because when I'm in fear, I go into procrastination and me trying to fix that procrastination isn't working. It leads to more procrastination. So I need like regular support to keep me on track, to keep me doing this. And that's okay. That's what I had to look for in my business. Where am I telling myself I should just do this? I can do this. I know I can do this. I need to do this. What's my problem? Versus who can I hire for support? Or who can I hire to help execute this? Or who can I hire to help keep me straight up, honest, and on track so that I will follow through instead of continuing to set myself up so I won't. But that requires humility to get to that point. And what's on the other side of this humble pie, of this ego death, of this humility, I can tell you because I'm there. My brain feels a lot clearer. There's still a little haze. It's not fog anymore. There's still haze because I'm in the integration period. But I know the haze is lifting. It's kind of like at the beach here where we'll say, it's like a line we say in Southern California, where it's like, oh, it's going to burn off. Meaning like, you know, the sun's going to come out versus I can tell it's not going to burn off today. I know it's going to burn off. So then that feels good in my nervous system. And even when my ego comes in, because that's going to fucking happen every day. It's like, yeah, I hear you. I know this is scary. I know this is foreign. And we're going forward anyway. And we're going to do things a little different. And I know you're not going to like it because I'm in charge, right? My higher self is in charge. But when we are not being on the offense of it, guess who is driving the car? Your ego. And that's going to fucking crash. But we need to crash sometimes to remind ourselves. I crashed too. And it was like, oh, hells no. I am not, I am not allowing this. No fucking way is that happening. And put yourself in that driver's seat because no one's going to come and do it for you. You've got to get real fucking honest with yourself and ask yourself, and this is my final, I think it is kind of a mind trick. Some would call it reverse psychology, but I've never had it not work on anyone, including my fucking insane mind. Give yourself permission to not do the thing. Meaning, Tiff, you don't have to grow your business any further. You could shut your business down right now. You don't have to do this at all now. Or you could say to yourself, you don't have to start your business. Or, Tiff, you don't need to write your book. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do it ever. You don't have to do it right now. When you give yourself permission to not do it, I then want you to notice the response in your body. There's definitely going to be a reprieve exhale from all the pressure you've been putting on yourself, but there's also going to be an internal voice. What's the internal voice? Is the internal voice, no, I really want this. This is really important to me. Or maybe your internal voice says nothing back. And that's confirmation. This doesn't have to be you don't do it ever, but you have to let it go for now. Otherwise, you're in purgatory. And I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to do different things. And one of them was like, I'm not doing enough guest episodes. I'm not doing enough guest podcast episodes. And guest podcast episodes take a lot more fucking time. And keep in mind, my show is free. It's just not free to produce. And even though I love it, it takes a lot more fucking time and energy. And I had time, but I didn't have fucking energy. I didn't have the bandwidth. And so I went, and you don't have to right now. How about that? How about you still get to attract the clients, the abundance, all of it, even if you're not doing that many or any guest episodes? Because I was seeing, right, like you see all the big shows, like the shows that have like millions in production value. They always have a guest. There are some solos, but it's guest heavy. And I'm the opposite. I wasn't for years. It was like a 50-50 split. One guest episode a week, one solo, and it's been a lot of solo. And why can't it be easy? Why can't it be something that feels good to me and doable to me and feels good to my nervous system and also it be successful? And my nervous system, my inner guide, when I said that, it didn't go, no, I want guests. I want guests. No, it felt like a thank. And that's your answer. Okay. It felt like a thank you. And just FYI, when I gave myself permission, within weeks, my episode started going viral when I let myself off that pressure cooker with that. And then there's other things, like I have a client who really wants to have a course off of her area of expertise and like really build an online arm to her existing business, which is more of like an in-person service-based business. And that's why a lot of people come to me. And I think abso-fucking-lutely, we need multiple income streams. And I believe everyone needs to have a personal brand. And she was putting all this pressure on herself because she was in this really busy season of work for end of year for her. It was so fucking busy. And I looked at her on our coaching call and I said, and how about we give you permission that you don't have to do this at all right now? How about that? And I saw her take a deep breath. I could tell energetically, and her body just had a moment to exhale. And she said, this is so important to me because I can't keep going on like this with work and the workload that I'm doing. This is really important to me. And I said, well, something has to be let go. Something has to be somewhat deprioritized because you trying to do both is putting you in a freeze state. So we're going to have to do something different where you're going to have to hire additional help in that existing business in order to build this, even if it's temporary. And I go, there's always a way. That is my line here at ProjectME. It's my line here always to my team. And when you believe there's always a way, let me tell you, there's always a motherfucking way. And if I can't find a way, I invent a way. And a lot of times those are the best ways. And then I monetize those ways. And a lot of times it also comes from source too. And so then you're able to find out how bad do you really want something, or you just feel it's something you're supposed to do or you should do, or are you just putting a ton of pressure because you're a multi-passionate and you have to do everything and you have to do it all right now. Maybe it's not the time to do it right now. Why? I have the first 5 chapters of my book that's out that you can listen to on the podcast, projectmewithtiffany.com/book. Heavy trigger warning on that. Why don't I have a written book? And then I see these people coming out with books and they're like, I'm a bestseller, I'm a bestseller. And I know the whole shim sham sharam around that. That's a game. That's an easy game, especially if you want to dump money into it. I'm not saying there's no one that's like everyone's insincere about it, but like don't buy into that hype. Anyway, but I would watch one person after the next, people I know, people I didn't know. And then I just kept pressuring myself. What's wrong with you? Why the fuck haven't you written the book? Why haven't you finished the book? Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done this? How about we give ourselves permission? Tiffany, you don't need to write that book right now. It's okay. It doesn't have to be written. Even in those first 5 chapters that are out there has helped literally tens of thousands of people. You don't have to. And then I exhaled and I went, it's not the time. It's absolutely happening. It's just not the time. And that could change next week. It's shelved. Does not mean it's not happening. For those of you who are like, but I want to do this and I want to do that. I love that about you. I think that's amazing. I'm the same way. But we can't do all the things at once. And we're not meant to. Perhaps there's a divine order that things need to happen in. And when we force it, that's when I have clients who've come to me and they forced it and then no one buys their fucking book. They've forced it and then no one listens to the podcast. They've forced it, they've forced a launch and then almost no one buys. And sometimes we have to learn that way, a very painful way. We have to learn it. You know, sometimes we're desperate and we hire people in desperate times and we make exceptions for things we normally wouldn't, or take clients we know we shouldn't, but we feel like we need to because they're nice, or that would make me not a caring person, or I really need the money right now. And then that has to blow up in your face to remind you that's true humility. So let me know what comes up for you. And also, please leave a written review if you really enjoyed this episode, the series, the show. That would really mean a lot to me. All the resources are inside the show notes that you can swipe up for and in the description here on YouTube. My 2-month private business coaching program, again, it's the highest level way to work with me. So only apply if you're serious about doing that. Like, it's an investment. It's not anything insane, but it's a serious investment, like, and it should be, to work with someone at my level and have everything be customized. And the Posse membership is a great place to start. If you're someone who's like, I'm kind of need a toe dip in, go into the Posse. You'll see very quickly and feel very quickly what that is all about. But take an action that's going to support you towards the success and the life you desire and how you feel on the journey, getting there and growing, because otherwise you're choosing to stay in the same place. And that's going to get real painful real soon if it hasn't already. And I've been there too. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you.